We don't care where you were drafted. You outperform somebody, you're going to be on that football field. Now, again, there are extenuating circumstances where you draft a quarterback number 3 overall. Yeah, they're going to try him out for the next 3 to 4 years, even if he's not as good as anybody on that roster. But from Shador's perspective, that's probably the case. Tyler Huntley, Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of names on that list, not a lot of good names on that list, so he can earn a job on this football team.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Every time he's there, he just finds a way, and he's going to break through. Look at Cameron Young. Cameron Young was one of those guys, too. Remember Cameron Young? Second in the Open Championship, fourth, plays great in majors, almost won the Canadian Open again. I seen this guy play live. I'm like, how does this guy not have a win? And then last week, Kev, you saw what he did. He put his foot on your throat, wrestling style. He didn't just win, he murdered the competition last week.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
He comes back, and what are we talking about? Mid-August at that point, and then he gets a couple more starts and they're ready for the postseason. So right now, I would say probably not an issue long-term. Obviously change the lines of what we're going to see today. I haven't seen the lines reopen, at least on the FanDuel Sportsbook. They're locked right now, so not an issue right now. As long as he comes back and he still has that plant leg and he's still strong with that, probably no worries for the Brewers right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Ain't no stopping us now. Well, the only thing is the time constraints, Joe Ranieri. We only got 2 hours here to kick it with each other, have some fun, and get some information out to the people. Sonny writes out, it's Joe Ranieri. It's a Tuesday. It's what we do on the SportsGrid Network. Opening up your day, like that sports page. It's digital now, right? You watch it on TV. You listen to us here. You don't open up the actual paper and be like, oh, look, there's Joe Ranieri and Donnie writes out from what they said yesterday. You get this information live, Joe. That's what we love bringing to the people.
I got to tell you, Don, if I close my eyes and we're just listening to you sing that, I would have thought for sure McFadden and Whitehead were actually in the studio singing it there.
Wow.
Outstanding stuff there, Donnie, as always. But yes, listen, I am ready to go here. I love the lineup in Major League Baseball here today. I think we got a great card, and I'm also stoked for week 2 here of the NFL preseason. Still some question marks with a lot of teams that we're going to have to figure out.
Yeah, we had some pretty good debuts in the preseason. Can the rookie quarterbacks back that up? Can people make that next step? Who's going to be the starting quarterbacks here? All up in the air, but that's what the SportsGrid Network is here. Get those answers that you need and also to educate yourself just a little bit more. But now's the time of the show, Joe. We like to reach out to the public on our Fade the Public poll. I want to go back to late March and early April. I want to see the people that goes, you know what? The Brewers are my team this year. And I'm going to guarantee midway through August, they're going to have the best record in Major League Baseball because that's how the feeling is going towards the Brewers this year. But we reached out to the people, Joe, in our Fade the Public poll. Easy to do. Just go over to X, follow @SportsGrid. The question was asked this morning. How far will the Milwaukee Brewers go this season? 4 options we gave you. The NLDS, which is the divisional series, the NLCS, which is the National League Championship Series, to be the NL champions, which means you made it to the World Series, and then you are actually World Series champions. We have a pretty tight race here between the NLDS and the NLCS. For me, Joe, I actually am not fading the public. I'm going with the public. There's no reason to believe that we can't, talking about the Brewers, get them to an NLCS here legitimately. 39% of the vote coming in that way. I voted that way, Joe. Which way did you vote?
Can you get a couple of more bars of "Ain't No Stopping Us Now," Donnie? Because it feels like that's what.
Stopping us now.
There you
on
go.
the move. See, I was going to do background.
There it is.
There you go.
Outstanding. Sure. And that should be the theme song for the Milwaukee Brewers at this particular point. I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to fade the public because I believe they've already proven that the Dodgers can be handled. And they're one of the few teams that I would trust when push comes to shove in the National League Pennant Championship that, you know what, if it comes down to them in the best 4 out of 7, I'm picking the Brewers, Donnie. I'm sorry. And you've got to give them the edge here. And I think the possibility is absolutely a National League pennant. I bet it. I've got it. I think they're the only team outside of the Dodgers that has a chance of winning it. Sorry about your Phillies, but I'm not stepping in front of they have that mojo going right now. We've seen teams in years past, Donnie, put it together like this team is doing, including your Phillies, by the way, and ride it right through to a World Series appearance. I think they can do that here.
You just don't want that, hey, we played really good baseball for 3/4 of the season and sort of struggled in the month of September. Now, we're not saying that the Brewers are ending up doing that. They are winning every single way you can. Great offense, not so much offense. Great pitching, average pitching. Bullpen messes up a little bit. No big deal. We got you covered. Comeback victories left and right. They're getting everything lined up here and sort of trying to run away with that Central. Like talking about like, oh, we wanted them early in March. Like, did Grok predict this? Like, hey, by August 12th, they're going to be in first place in Major League Baseball with the most wins here. Because if you see a graphic we're about to pop up, there wasn't a lot of love. Win total 82.5. That's a solid baseball club. That's not a championship club. It's now updated to 98.5 wins, which means theoretically, legitimate chance that the Brewers get to 100 wins on the season. Best record in baseball was an 80-1 price. They have the best record right now. And to have it for the rest of the season, it's a -110 price. The NL Central, which was a dog price at +270, is now a heavy favorite at -500. And look at the World Series price, 50-1, which basically means good luck on that. 10-1, which you know what that means? A realistic chance to get it done. The odds moving in the Brewers' direction, Joe, looking at some of those odds, any takers on those price points?
Yeah, and don't forget, Donnie, it wasn't as if they were those numbers show us, they weren't the preseason favorites, and they weren't even in first place in the first quarter of this season here. It was all about the Cubs and how good the Cubs were, and all of a sudden the Cardinals now, well, we thought they were going to be terrible, but the Cardinals were winning all sorts of games. But eventually what happened, once we hit July, end of June and July, is the Brewers started to figure some things out. They brought up Mizorowski. The bullpen quietly became one of the best in Major League Baseball when it came to locking teams down. Listen, a bunch of really good players that are playing great baseball together. That is how you win World Series championships. Not a lot of overpriced guys or hype or name guys, but what you have is guys playing great baseball together. I think the sky's the limit. Would not shock me if the Brewers are representing the National League in the World Series.
And getting a pretty good price point on them right now. Best record in baseball, 5-1. Not to win a World Series, Joe. 5-1 right now at a lot of outlets here to win the National League. Now, if we look at the Dodgers, always going to be those favorites here. I think the Dodgers can actually be eliminated from the playoffs itself and still be the +160 favorite to win the National League, the way it's going with their price points. The Philadelphia Phillies at $330 price. The Brewers 5-1. I'm telling you, those Padres at a 7-1 price, seemingly getting shorter and shorter every day. The Cubbies at 9-1, and the Mets out here looking to buy low at a 10-1 price if you like that angle. But the Dodgers are the heavy favorites. But now we're starting to get some doubt in there. Like, the Phillies are playing really good baseball. The Padres made a lot of moves, playing better baseball. The hottest team in baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers. There's now a lot of pressure, Joe, on the Dodgers to get this done, where they're still being priced as we have a 10-game lead when they got like a 2-game lead.
Yeah, and my question is, Donnie, so how is the seeding going to work here? So who's going to have the best record in the National League when it's all said and done? Is that going to be Milwaukee? Is it? Do we think the Dodgers are? I mean, if Milwaukee is the top seed here, they're always going to have maybe the more favorable path in order to get there against some wild card teams, no?
Yeah, no, you're right about that, because you're looking, usually the path is, and you equate it to the NFL, right? Home field advantage is everything, rest is advantage is everything. It's a little bit different, though. Like, rest is great in the NFL. Rest doesn't seem like it's great in the early parts of October as you wait for that wild card round to finish up for you. But again, if you ask any organization, general manager, fan base, what would you rather take, wild card or win the division? Only idiots would say wild card because you can't, if you don't play in the wild card, you can't lose in the wild card. That's the important part about it. But now you look at the Phillies, 6-game lead over the Mets. You look at the Brewers, 6.5-game lead over the Chicago Cubs. And then the Dodgers, like if there was any division that you felt like there might be a runaway at the beginning of the season, like, man, the Dodgers just built for absolute mayhem and terror this year against other organizations. They're down to a 1-game lead. Why? You lose 2 in a row, and the Padres win 3 in a row. They're right on your heels. But I didn't think the Brewers would have a 6.5-game lead in August. I thought the Phillies and Mets would go back and forth. The only back and forth now is the Phillies winning every day and the Mets losing every single day, as they'll take it today. But I'm interested. The National League wide open when probably nobody thought it was open at all to start the season.
And the wild card teams in the National League, you're going to have, it's either what? Either the Padres or the Dodgers, right? You're going to have the Cubs or let's say Cincinnati. You're going to have it is a loaded side of the equation here in the National League where it could still be anybody's game.
It's anybody's game, and maybe it's not anybody's game when Pittsburgh is going to match up with Milwaukee again today. Do we go to 20 wins now for the Brewers? Find out next. Let's get the handicapping hats on.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Right back at it here on the early line. Time to break down some Major League Baseball. Full card today on a Tuesday. We absolutely love to see that. You know, we're going to start with the hottest team, Joe Ranieri, in Major League Baseball. That's the Milwaukee Brewers. They're taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. And if you saw yesterday, an easy victory, 7-1. You might think that's going to happen today. But if you want to continue that win streak and you want to be on your way to 20-plus wins in a row, which would be unbelievable if the Brewers can actually pull that off, You first got to take down Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates today. 9:05, 9:06 on the rotation, a 7:40 start tonight. Skeens and Peralta favorite here towards Milwaukee, but not that much. Minus 120s, minus 122s overnight. Now sit at minus 126s. Is as high as a minus 131 here listed at DraftKings. A total 6.5s starting to creep in as you see that graphic at 7. We're not going to get a lot of scoring anticipated in this game because Paul Skeens, best pitcher on the card. Did you know, Joe? His last 45 days, 42 innings pitched, a 2.14 ERA and a 2.74 xFIP number. You got your work cut out for you tonight, Brewers. Is it enough to push them to another victory?
Well, it could very well, because at some point we all know that Pittsburgh bullpen is going to have to get involved. But instead, I am willing to bet that Skeens outduels Freddie Peralta in the first 5. And I'd be willing to back Pittsburgh and lay a small number, minus 115, maybe somewhere in that ballpark there. And I think that Pittsburgh has a better shot. By the way, Pittsburgh, since the All-Star break, has hit much, much better than people realize. Wasn't a great night last night, but this is a team that can now all of a sudden hit the long ball. And Freddie Peralta has struggled a little bit. He's solid, but he's not Paul Skeens. He's not shut down. So I think Pittsburgh has a pretty good opportunity to have the lead heading into the second half of this game, the 6th inning, because I don't trust the bullpen of Pittsburgh at all once they get involved. But I do think they can have the lead early on in this one heading into the 6th.
Yeah, try to capitalize there because Skeens, again, last 30 days of Major League Baseball, 92 hitters faced. You have a walk rate of under 5%, a K rate of 34%, which jumps to 40%. The left-handed batters, low ISO, low weighted on base percentage. Good luck getting after Paul Skeens. But also, like sometimes you don't talk about Freddie Peralta being that good pitcher for Milwaukee. Last 30 days has struggled a little bit with left-handed batters, but you know what's good for that tonight? Pittsburgh doesn't have very many left-handed batters. Estimated in the lineup, Reynolds, Cruz, and that's it. 2 lefties, and he excels against righties. Yesterday, 1 run for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Maybe tonight, another 1 run for the Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll see how it plays out here. Let's roll over to Ohio, and that's Cincinnati, and it's Philadelphia. Ranger Suarez, the lefty on the mound today, going up against Brady Singer, the right-handed pitcher for the Reds. 9:01, 9:02 on the rotation, a 6:40 start. How about a total that's listed at 9, but a favorite for the Phillies? Phillies were the dogs yesterday out there in Cincinnati. Now the favorites at minus 155 and higher, depending on where you're shopping at. Runs could be expected here. Ranger Suarez, another great Phillies pitcher. Phillies on a run right now. Started this road trip 4-0. 3 wins in Texas, 1 for Cincinnati. What gives tonight for the Reds?
Well, you know, the Reds here, they're in PNC Park, right? They're scoring all of these runs. They're hitting the, that was Sunday. And what did they follow up that offensive explosion with? The usual. They can barely score a run in that game last night. But I got to tell you, if you want to know the state of Cincinnati's bullpen, then look at what happened in that game last night where Abbott had to go out into the 8th inning, Donnie, because their bullpen is trash. This was a great pitcher's battle and a great game until, of course, with 2 outs in the 8th inning, they had to roll Abbott back out there, and that's where the wheels fell off a little bit here. But you just can't trust Cincinnati to do enough on a consistent basis offensively, especially against – they couldn't do it last night against Miguel. What are you going to do against Ranger Suarez here? I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is the time that you back Philadelphia, as they are clearly motivated to get this thing into another gear.
Yeah, another Schwarber bomb yesterday, and also Brady Singer's last 30 days has struggled with left-handed batters. Lefties in the lineup tonight, as you anticipate? Yep, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Brandon Marsh, who's having a really good season against right-handed pitching, Max Kepler, and also Bryson Stott. So maybe more hitting on the way for the Phillies. And you're right about this. You take a look at the Reds yesterday, and again, I played an alt-team total in a parlay with the Reds at 2.5. Like, I understand Taijuan Walker had a decent start his last time out, but theoretically on the season, Joe, he's really struggled on the road. He struggled in that first inning. The Reds only got to him 1 time in the first. Like, okay, that's 1 run. They didn't score the rest of the game. Like, you're not going to win games scoring 1 run. You get that 1 run in the first, that's great. You better start tacking on. They weren't able to do that later in the game. Schwarber home run. And you're right, though. Starting pitcher goes late into that game. 2 outs, nobody on in the 8th inning. That ends up in a loss. That's pretty incredible the way it actually played out here. But the Phillies looking for a win to stay ahead of who? Oh, those New York Mets here. They're going to take on the Atlanta Braves. And if we would have looked, Joe, beginning of the season, let's look at some key series here throughout the summer. Oh, look at that. Midway through the month of August. This could be a battle for first place or a playoff spot. Atlanta, New York. At least the Mets are fighting for a playoff spot, not the Atlanta Braves. Spencer Strider's on the mound going up against Clay Holmes, 903, 904 on the rotation. 7-10 start tonight. Favorite, the New York Mets, about a minus 135 to minus 145 price, depending on where you're shopping at now. A total that's listed at 8. Streaking, we talked about the Brewers, streaking in the opposite direction, the New York Mets. Clay Holmes, I know you bring up a lot, Joe. This guy's not supposed to have this many innings under his belt at this point in the season. Leaking oil New York Mets and the favorites. Are you trusting them tonight?
Listen, it would only be the Mets for me. I mean, Strider is clearly, to me, running out of gas, and you can see that in his last couple of starts there, Donnie. And, that whole motocross, motor speedway at Bristol, that the rain out kind of messed up his schedule at that point. But I think they were happy, quite honestly, because this is a rough go and a rough season for the Braves here. I think Strider's a bet on come next year. I don't necessarily trust him here on the road. I don't trust this Atlanta lineup. I think the Mets, who showed some life against the Brewers offensively, they're a better home team. If they're going to win, this is the game they need to win here tonight for sure.
Yeah, take a look at some of those advanced statistics here that we get tonight. Clay Holmes, 17th out of 26 pitchers on the card, a 441 xFIP number. And then if we try to find here and go up, Spencer Strider's up in the top 10. He's got a 4.17 ERA, but he does have a lower 3.66 ERA. Tough to trust both of these teams at this time because Atlanta's dead in the water. The Mets aren't playing great baseball, but there is 80-degree temperatures in Queens today with the wind blowing out to left center field at 9 miles per hour. Maybe that propels some of those baseballs to get into the seats today, but the Mets need to win at all costs. You can't lose today, Mets, and have the Phillies win yet another game and still try to hang around. Cubbies, Blue Jays up next.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
While we're talking about some good high-end options, it's pretty pedestrian once you get through about 25 or so running backs. And so you got to be so much more mindful that the cliff does take place in your draft at running back, much more so than it does at wide receiver, where there are 40, 45 options that you could talk yourself into having pretty good seasons this year.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I was that confused trying to figure out why Cameron Young isn't as good as he should be, because we've seen all the flashes. Like at some point of his career, he's been elite at something. Like he's been elite at putting this year. He's been an elite iron player. He's been an elite driver of the golf ball. So check out this chart I had to get.
We got a chart.
Look at this chart that I had to come up with.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, there. If you just take them that's place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bet.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Joe Ranieri down here right side, breaking down Major League Baseball. And let's go to Toronto up in the 6th here. You got one team, the Toronto Blue Jays, in first place, cruising. Let's go. Let's extend this lead. And then you have the Chicago Cubs going like, what happened here? We were in first place. Now find themselves 6.5 games back. By the way, talking about football season, Joe, minus 6.5. Don't let that get to 7. That's a key number, Cubs. Don't let it get there at this point. Well, Brown's going to be on mound taking on Jose Barrios today. 9:23, 9:24 in the rotation, a 7:07 start. Slight favorite towards Toronto at home. Minus 125s overnight. Now we're seeing minus 120s in the sports landscape, depending on where you're betting at. 9s as a total here. Brown, Barrios, Toronto, Chicago, Joe. Come on, bring that heat.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, they were managed to avoid the sweep there over the weekend against the Dodgers, Toronto. Now they get to come home. They've had a day off. I believe the roof likely open here today. Temperatures in the mid-80s. That ballpark, obviously, for the Toronto Blue Jays has been what they had hoped when they did the renovations, right? A place for them to actually elevate that offense, and they've done an amazing job this year. The Cubs, as good as the offensive numbers are, they are heavily weighted from what they did prior to July. Because as of the last month, this team can't hit water if they fell out of a boat here, Donnie. Outside of their last game, that is it. Now, Barrios, can't trust him on the road, but he has been very, very he's been good at home, certainly serviceable. I think the bats come alive here for the Blue Jays against Brown. I don't like the back end of that bullpen for the Cubs. I like the bullpen for Toronto. At this price, I like Toronto to get back on track here in their own home park there and handle business against the Cubs.
Yeah, what happened here? By the way, Jose Barrios will give you a quality start, but he's no longer that shutdown pitcher. You take a look at his last 6 or so starts. 3 innings pitched against the A's, 4 earned runs given up. Against the Giants, 5 2/3, 4 earned runs given up here. At Detroit, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, which you'll take that each and every time out. Then it goes back to 4 1/3 innings pitched, 5 runs, only 2 earned. And his last start at Colorado, which is still at Colorado, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 4 runs, 3 earned there. So we'll see if he can bounce back. But you're right about one thing, Joe. When you look at the Chicago Cubs, before it was all green lights, as we like to say, hey, Pete Crow Armstrong might be able to be the MVP. Stop it. His last 54 at-bats, a .278 weighted on base percentage against right-handed pitching. That lineup doesn't look great. Even if Barrios doesn't look great, maybe that can certainly creep into it at this point. But both of these teams certainly want wins, but needing wins, that's certainly the Chicago Cubs at this time. Let's take a look at Houston and Boston. Key game yesterday. Heavy underdog at home for the Astros. They pick up the victory. Today, not so heavy and roughly a toss-up. Arrigetti's on the mound, but he's the favorite tonight, Joe. Minus 118s, minus 120s in the marketplace here. Dustin May on the mound here opened up at an 8 total. Now sits at an 8.5 at a lot of outlets. So May versus Arrigetti. Not two pitchers that seem to be shut down. Could we get some runs enough to get 9 tonight, Joe?
Yeah, you would think that we might get a little more offense than usual. Yeah. But Arrigetti at least has now an appearance under his belt, and we'll see what he can do with it. I still don't like May in any way, shape, or form here. So I would tend to lead towards Houston here. But more than anything else, Danny, I like the advantage early. I'm going to take the Houston Astros in the first 5. I think they'll do exactly what they did yesterday, play from in front. And Boston, with no Hader now at the back end of that Houston bullpen, Boston still very much alive late in this game.
Justin Timberlake once said here, Joe, it's going to be May. Yeah, he's getting lit up tonight. I don't like Dustin May all that much. I bet against him quite a few times. His last 45 days, Joe, how about only 29 innings pitched, but a 6.21 ERA and a 4.64 xFIP. But you hit the nail on the head sometimes that you take a look because projections are what you want. Hey, look, if things aren't going your way late in that game, if you're down, oh, no, here comes that avalanche bullpen, which the Padres have now. Good luck scoring against the Philadelphia Phillies late in games where Duran's coming in the game, and now it also pushes back your better pitchers where now you have a formidable 7th and 8th hole guy. But now you look at Houston where it's like, hey, it's coming down the stretch or 3-3. How many times are you trying to get the extra innings to scrape out a couple innings? Like, wait a second. Hader's coming in the bottom of the 9th inning to sort of get you to extra innings. Stop the madness at this point. If that's not there, that's more high-leverage situations. If I look at the Houston Astros, Pena, Sanchez, Altuve, Correa, Walker, and Diaz, all high, weighted on base percentages against a guy in May that we thought was going to be a big deal out for the Dodgers. Makes the move now over to Boston. Hasn't worked out all that well. You know what else I just wish for, Joe? Can a prayer be answered? It's 87 degrees in Houston. Is that too hot at night? Like, is that just too hot to open that roof, let that heat and humidity in? What's the deal?
No, that's too hot to they're not going to do that here. But it doesn't mean we ain't getting a ton of runs in this game here, Donnie, one way or the other.
By the way, like Miami, open your roof too here. I mean, Joe will tell you, South Florida's not that hot at this time of the year. You know what's hot right now? Oh, Kevin Walsh. find out which show he hosts next.
Ooh.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
You know, out of 30 teams game, only 10 have a winning record against left-handed pitchers. 10-19, and there's one team that's 12-12.
See, I
think it's the Yankees.
Yeah. See, I didn't know the exact number, Scott, but I would have, I knew where you were going with this. In which there's just not as many left-handed hitters. They're not as good against them.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You have to imagine it'll be Rory and Tommy. So that is just such a strong foursomes pairing. And then I look over here at the Americans. I'm like, golly, if Patrick Cantlay, they just need him to make the team because you got Scotty and Russell. If Xander's going out, you have to him and Pat have been so good in the foursomes. Bryson's going to have to play. Who's he going to play with?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The fun never stops in the early line. It's what we do. We get the people ready for the morning. You don't even need coffee. You don't need caffeine. We give you the caffeine right here on the SportsGrid Network. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. Now, the host of Game Time Decisions, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern start, right here on the SportsGrid Network. The one, the only. He's the true Kevin Walsh. And I think it's at the real Kevin Walsh on X.
No.
Did I get that right there? Oh, I didn't get it right. Sorry about that.
It's all right. That's a good callback though. Moose will really appreciate that one there. Excited to be here though. I will say I have had some coffee though.
Yeah.
I don't like Donnie. Let's potential coffee sponsorships. We love coffee. Anybody want to sponsor this segment? Brought to you by, and then that could be you. So keep that up for grabs.
We're a certain bagel store up there. They'd love to be in the sponsorship business at this point from what I'm hearing here. But we'll find out that. We know we're here to talk about quarterbacks, Kevin, and quarterbacks in the preseason. You know what I'm enjoying right now? We'll start on this. Offense, and more offense. Me growing up, Kevin, hey, preseason's on tonight. Awesome, 9-6 battle. We're not getting that anymore. We're getting people drop 50 points. But the game we're going to focus on, the Cleveland Browns, 30 points. The Carolina Panthers, 10 points here. Shedeur Sanders, 14 of 23, $138, and 2 tutties out here saying, this is my team. This is my town, Kevin. What did you make of Shedeur's first appearance?
I think it was really important because you have 4 quarterbacks on the Browns roster, and that's one too many. So if Shedeur Sanders was atrocious, if he looked like Quinn Ewers did for the Dolphins, Shedeur potentially could end up being cut. That was a possible outcome if he played like that. Instead, he was really good. Now, he was not probably as, if you just based it off of the online reactions, he wasn't that good, but it was a good time. And he felt like a superstar legitimately within the game. And I think Sanders, through that game alone, basically secures the roster spot. And unless the Browns coaching staff is being dishonest with themselves, he should have a leg up now on Dylan Gabriel in the back end race. Which means if, let's just say, Pickett is traded and Sanders is QB2, then when the Browns get out of the bye week, guys, I don't see how it's not Shedeur Sanders under center with an opportunity to start 8 games, if not more, for the Browns this season.
Yeah, but let me ask you a real question here when it comes to him. Him and Myles Garrett in a drag race in the parking lot, who wins? I'm just curious because they both like to go 100 miles an hour, apparently.
Listen, I almost wonder, you know what? Myles Garrett, was he told to go a little quick? Just try and do it, find a, if you get a nice open road. We're trying to find a way to tank here. We're trying, you know what I mean? Not too many suspensions coming down. I still can't believe. Myles Garrett, by the way, will always, for me, be the person to blame for trade requests in the NFL not mattering. Because with Parsons, we know it's about the contract. For McLaurin, we know it's about the contract. Myles Garrett was like, guys, I know you want to pay me. I want to win. And they went, how about 40 a year? And he went, I actually like losing. I'd rather lose. Losing's more enjoyable than winning. So what does he care about any of this? Suspend him for 14 games. That's fine. Everybody handshake, and let's see if they end up with 1 or 2 wins.
Exactly. Cleveland's going to have some tough decisions to make, too, because, Kevin, when I look at the roster itself, my evolution of thinking about how you should operate an NFL team has changed over the past couple of years. Mainly the Philadelphia Eagles are picking up championships like, okay, win or bust. I don't understand. Like, you look at the odds market. Joe Flacco's a minus 310 to be the starting quarterback day one. What's the point of this? I don't know. Kenny Pickett is plus 360. That's not your future. Like, I've told Joe multiple times this week alone, why don't we just play Shedeur Sanders game 1 and Dylan Gabriel game 2 and rotate these guys? So at the end of the year, we go, all right, Shedeur's the better quarterback, or Gabriel's the better quarterback, or neither are the better quarterback, and we won 2 games, and now we can pick our quarterback. Why would you start Joe Flacco in game number 1?
So this is the real tricky thing, Donnie, where the start to their season is miserable. And I don't mind asking Flacco, hey, take these first 6 for us. All right. Handle the trip to London. Let's give, Jerry Jeudy an opportunity, David Njoku an opportunity to settle in, have nice seasons. Let's give this roster a chance. Because listen, team surprise, I don't think Cleveland will be one of them, but give this group an opportunity. The real confusing piece of this whole thing, though, Donnie and Joe, is unless the Browns aren't picking in the top 5, which is unlikely to me, they're expected to draft quarterback no matter what. In what world is Shedeur Sanders or even a Dylan Gabriel going to play long enough and well enough to hold off if Arch left? I know we don't think he will, but nevertheless, Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, all these guys with all this hype around them. That's one of the oddest pieces of this puzzle is the Browns have 2 rookie quarterbacks that are noteworthy, and we all expect them to draft quarterback. By the way, they have multiple first-round picks next year's draft.
Am I the only one that feels terrible for Stefanski here? Because he was saddled with Deshaun Watson having to play him. Now, all of a sudden, it's a what have you done for me lately industry there, Kev. And when does the pressure from the front say you got to play Sanders? And if you don't win, by the way, you're fired. He's in like a no-win situation here.
It's not great. I do wonder how much of how the Baker stuff played out is on Stefanski, how much of it was on their medical team. I remember that in real time. Like this, when DRS and I were doing the early line, and we would come on every Sunday. It's like, that's interesting. Baker doesn't look like he can throw or walk. He'll be starting this week. Browns catching a touchdown. And, oh, look at that. Baker's still really good.
Loved him.
Like the guy who actually went out there, though, and won a playoff game in Pittsburgh with the Cleveland Browns is a really good quarterback, and the Browns don't have him on their roster. So I wonder how much Stefanski is to blame for that. And here's the other thing, Joe, where he loses a little bit of leeway with me. How much is he to blame for that Gabriel pick? Because the Gabriel pick is always looked at through the lens of Shedeur. There's not a soul alive who thought Dylan Gabriel was supposed to go inside the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. And Gabriel is now soundly being beat by Shedeur Sanders, it appears, throughout this training camp process. So, look, I don't think Stefanski should be fired. I kind of don't think he will be fired. Actually, I don't get that read. I think they could lose all but 2 games and he comes back but maybe I'm being it might be a little rational for me, like in August, right? Like I have a level head about some of this stuff that talk to me in week 6 and I'll start firing about half the league.
Yeah, shout out. Well, our game plan was always to make sure that we were always going to pick Shador, but we wanted a quarterback ahead of him to keep his head on straight, to understand he's not the lead dog. Like, nothing makes sense for what the exact motivation for what the Browns are doing at this point. But talk about motivation here for some of these rookies to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Ashton Ginty, Kevin, I expect him to be plus 1250 after 3 carries, -1 in his opening day appearance. Like the Wembanyama days. Like, this guy can't play after game number 1. He'll be fine. Cam Ward plus 300 price. You have Hampton, Hunter, McMillan, Henderson, and Shuck. And down the list we go. Is it just Ashton Ginty and Cam Ward's world and we're all living in it? Or is there some opportunities down the pipe that you could check out here?
Yeah, I will say Cam Ward is tough because I think he could throw for 4,000 yards, but I also don't think the Titans are going to be in the postseason race, really. They could beat a win total. Doesn't mean they're going to be in the postseason hunt. My thing with Ashton Ginty, and I understand, nearly wins a Heisman Trophy, incredible at Boise State, but so much about running backs are their situation. Ask Saquon Barkley. Omarion Hampton is in a better situation, and it was like, he might battle though the backfield with Najee Harris. Well, then he went.
He's got no eyes. Yeah,
I don't know.
Can't see.
Listen, I'm just telling you this.
Guy can't see.
Half of the Chargers beat reporters actually aren't sure if that guy can see. So Omarion Hampton to me should be way closer to Ashton Ginty in this market because to me he is the full bell cow. I truly don't know if Najee Harris is legally blind. Like that's on the board.
I'm telling you, superficial wound, no big deal. What does that mean? Is his eye hanging out of his head? Like, just put that thing back here. He's going to be able to show up at camp on Monday. I mean, how's he going to pick up a linebacker when he can't see the guy, Kev? Come on. My goodness.
It's not good. It's not good. We'll talk a little Hampton on Game Time tonight, by the way. We got a couple good things coming up.
Love the state at this point. That's Kevin Walsh. It's Game Time Decisions. We love Kevin on the network. He's the greatest. Come on, back with us, Kevin. Please.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Out of 30 teams game, only 10 have a winning record against left-handed pitchers. 10-19, and there's one team that's 12-12.
See, I
think it's the Yankees.
Yeah. See, I didn't know the exact number, Scott, but I would have, I knew where you were going with this. In which there's just not as many left-handed hitters. They're not as good against them.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
You have to imagine it'll be Rory and Tommy. So that is just such a strong foursomes pairing. And then I look over here at the Americans. I'm like, golly, if Patrick Cantlay, they just need him to make the team because you got Scotty and Russell. If Xander's going out, you have to him and Pat have been so good in the foursomes. Bryson's going to have to play. Who's he going to play with?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
More fun, more segments. It's how we do it. It's Sonny Wright's Edit Show. Ranieri and Kevin Walsh back with us for another segment to talk some NFL action, which it's heating up. We got college football, not this Saturday, the following Saturday. But before you know it, Thursday night in city of Philadelphia, questions will arise. Is Landon Dickerson going to be there? But more importantly, is Micah Parsons going to be there? But that's not the conversation we're having now, Kevin. It's the MVP, which right now, Lamar Jackson extending his lead by doing nothing in the summer. You love to see that at a plus 430 price. Josh Allen 6-1, Burrow 6-1, Mahomes plus 650. Talk to me about Lamar Jackson. He hasn't even played yet. Why is he extending his lead here?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, the Ravens win a preseason game. It's like, they're back. They're so back. This is probably going to carry over to the regular season. The tricky thing for Lamar, I mean, the comparisons for Jokic are so obvious as it relates to the MVP races, where, Lamar Jackson rips off an MVP 2 seasons ago, where it was all about the record. He should have not won league MVP. He was not close to the best player in the league that year. But it was the old school, who's the quarterback on the team with the best record? Give it to him. And by the way, I say old school. That is entirely how that award worked until last year. The 2 best quarterbacks were Jared Goff, don't kid yourself, and Mahomes, who was average at best. But that was swept under the rug all season by everyone but me. And now all offseason, everyone's like, you think Mahomes will get back? Oh, interesting. I wonder where all that conversation was last year. That's neither here nor there. The tough sell for me on Lamar in the MVP race, and I think this is fair, there's no way he isn't worse this season than he was last season. 41 passing touchdowns to 4 interceptions, one of the best passer rating seasons the league has ever seen, and doing that while being such an electric runner. Maybe the Ravens go out there and go 15-2, and the award resets to best quarterback on the best team, because the Ravens could be that good of a football team this year. And that's probably why Lamar is positioned how he is. But if we're going to hold his stats up against his own stats from last season, he will take a step back.
It's a big ask for him. It really is. I mean, let me ask you a question here, though. Give me your top 3 quarterbacks in the league. If you were starting a franchise tomorrow, is Lamar your number 1 pick, Kev? Is it him? Because I don't know. I don't know that I'd go Lamar as my guy to start the franchise. I don't think he's the most valuable player. And until somebody can prove me that Mahomes should not be considered for this award each and every year, who are your top 3 guys?
So this is one of these things where I think it's all about whether or not you believe these guys are going to cross the finish line eventually, right? Let's just remove Mahomes and Hurts for a second, right, with the recent Super Bowl MVPs. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow are 3 quarterbacks that I think a lot of people would say with certainty, these guys are going to eventually win a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl MVP. There's only so many to go around. Only one of them can make the Super Bowl this year. And again, that is if they can actually get through Mahomes, who just cannot stop making Super Bowls, right? It'll be interesting if we ever see one of that or 2 of the trio play one another in a conference championship game instead of always having to play Patrick Mahomes. I am someone who believes Lamar will eventually get over that hump. I think Lamar Jackson is too talented to not win a Super Bowl. I thought Lamar was much better in last year's postseason. He had a slow start to that game, but basically Mark Andrews just let everything fall on the floor, realistically, in their comeback effort against the Buffalo Bills. On the other end of it, everybody's favorite quarterback in the world, Josh Allen, I don't trust Josh Allen like everybody else. I don't think Josh Allen is inevitable to get over this hump. I think it's very on the board that if Josh finally beats Mahomes, gets to the Super Bowl, and it's too much of a relief and he doesn't win that game. Like, he has, to me, more hurdles because the Mahomes thing is such a thing. He's lost to him every single time, despite always beating the Chiefs in the regular season. So I think when you just take the last 2 MVPs, right, and put them head to head, Joe, I'll take Lamar winning that Super Bowl and getting over the hump before Josh Allen.
Let's take a last MVP that we saw in the month of February. That was Jalen Hurts here, who now apparently is a tier 2 quarterback for some talking heads, and also the lists that come out, which I do find, which you can put different players in their place. Because I know those go back to, Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl. You're going to say that Trent Dilfer is better than him because he won. Well, that's going to the far extreme. But I look at things like the MVP race. Jalen Hurts is a 20-1. You know else is a 20-1? Jordan Love. You know else is a 20-1? Justin Herbert. You know, it's a 10-1 half of Jalen Hurts. It's Jaden Daniels in Washington who got his pipe smoked there basically in that NFC Championship game before going to the Super Bowl and had an easy victory where the best quarterback that we've ever seen, Patrick Mahomes, got outdueled by Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying Hurts should be 5-1 up there with Lamar Jackson at this point, but I do find it funny where a guy comes off a season, leads his team to a Super Bowl, wins an MVP. It's like, you know what? I had him rated higher last year than I do now this year because this team's too good. Where are we going with this, Kevin, with Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Hurts conversations, about 95% of them are terrible. So I would just, listen to someone like myself on it because the right read is obviously there. People, they talk like, oh, well, Hurts could never win an MVP. Oh, you mean the guy who actually has a first place MVP vote and would have won the award if he didn't get hurt a couple of seasons ago? You mean that guy's never going to win an MVP, but Herbert's a lock to win MVP. Jordan Love's a lock to win MVP. Oh, you mean Jared Goff, who's actually never going to win an MVP? These are guys that are better than Jalen Hurts. None of that makes any sense whatsoever. And again, the difficult thing is Jaden Daniels, half the number of Jalen Hurts. You're not winning MVP finishing second in your division. You're not. Now, the Commanders could win the division. I understand that. But you can't justify Hurts being double the number of Jaden Daniels. Again, for a decade or so, best quarterback, best team, that's how you win MVP. So Hurts, even if he doesn't win it, that 20-1 number, you can tell should be comfortably shorter, especially when a quarterback in his own division is half the price and shouldn't have won Rookie of the Year, by the way.
How about that? It's Kevin Walsh, Game Time Decisions. Catch him at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on the SportsGrid Network. What's coming up tonight on GTD? Any special balloons? Any big announcements tonight? What do we got?
Balloons? I don't know. After we're in the Party City, we will be doing some season-long player props, though, DRS. We're looking for some value.
I love it. You know what else value I like? Kevin never takes a day off. The man doesn't go on vacation. That's why we love him.
Unreal.
At the SportsGrid Network. We'll be right back. Let's go. We don't care where you were drafted. You outperform somebody, you're going to be on that football field. Now, again, there are extenuating circumstances where you draft a quarterback number 3 overall. Yeah, they're going to try him out for the next 3 to 4 years, even if he's not as good as anybody on that roster. But from Shador's perspective, that's probably the case. Tyler Huntley, Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of names on that list, not a lot of good names on that list, so he can earn a job on this football team.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Jalen Lane, 4th-round receiver from Virginia Tech, who's a dynamic slot receiver. Run after the catch. He's had a phenomenal camp. Really great offseason. He is really gifted. And obviously with McLaurin not practicing, he's getting a lot more of a look. Right. Now, the problem is, without McLaurin, they're not very deep at the outside receiver position. But Jalen Lane is a stud talent. I'm telling you, this kid should have gone higher.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
He's going to regress a little potentially in touchdowns, but his role's not going to change. There's no other superstar on this team besides Josh Allen. So to me, James Cook, they need James Cook if the Buffalo Bills are going to repeat in that division again. They need him to be that guy in the offense because there isn't another star around Josh Allen. So James Cook is as close as it gets. I'm sorry, it's not Khalil Shakir. It doesn't look like it's ever going to be Keon Coleman or Dalton Kincaid.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Right back at it here. Fun ways to end the early line. I'd like to choose like a hot topic or two, but also come up with a buy that's going to make you some money, which we'll get to in just a few moments. And we're looking for a bounce back today in our buy. Swept the card on Friday. Not so good last night. It's okay. It's Tuesday. Get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to build up those units here and give the people what they want. Joe, have you ever gotten a speeding ticket in your life? You ever just, I just wasn't paying attention. You didn't have the Cobra radar out there. Did you ever get a speeding ticket?
I have, Donnie, absolutely. Yeah. And I have also talked my way out of a speeding ticket, but I'm assuming there are some infractions you probably can't talk your way out of.
No, you probably can at sometimes, but I've never had a speeding ticket. I had some moving violations in the past. Anybody growing up as a kid, sometimes making a illegal left turn, there's a cop there, you didn't know, you get penalized for it. It's just the way it is. Or you got some tinted windows that you're like, come on, man. Roll your windows up. Let me check. Nope, they're not proof right there, so you got to get the ticket. But how about Myles Garrett? 100 in a 60. How come, is it just me or is it, again, maybe I'm missing the boat? People get speeding tickets. That's why there's police officers on highways looking to catch you in speed traps. That's what they do. But do athletes go faster than the common person? Or is it just because, dude, I drive a Ferrari. If I touch the gas pedal, it's 88 miles an hour down the road we go.
Listen, there's so many weird things about this. It's just a hot mess there. It's in the same town that Shador got busted going over 100 miles an hour, where the camp is, right? So already the cops in that area are just looking for somebody with the radar gun. And here he comes in his, wait a minute, didn't he just sign a $160 million deal and he's driving a 2014 gray Ferrari? Wait a minute. Whoa, what, updated? What are we doing here, Miles? Is that all it can go as a 2014 Ferrari? It's just 100 miles an hour? Is that it, Tommy?
In my Rari, as we like to say, driving down the street. We'll see Myles Garrett going faster. Hopefully he's just as fast there at defensive end, sacking quarterbacks this year, and the Browns get a pretty good return on that investment. But speed traps, man, there's nothing, even when you don't get caught, anybody's been I-95, whatever major thoroughfare you have, you're going a little bit fast and you see the cop parked on the side of the road and you just look, how long, at least 30 seconds in the rear view, please don't come out, please don't come out, please don't come out, right?
What are you doing? I mean, it's this Shador just got unless this is maybe Myles Garrett's way of saying, I got your back, Shador. I'm going to go out. I'm with you. I'm going to go get the 100-mile-an-hour speeding ticket as well. You and I, that's it. Defense, offense, here we go. The future of the Browns. It's unbelievable.
Hang them up like championship banners in the locker room, but it's time to make some money, people. It's time for buy. You don't even have to stay in the United States to win some money, Joe, apparently, and buy. Where are we going today? International marketplace?
I am, as a matter of fact. I'm going to head to Toronto, where the Blue Jays will be hosting the Cubs here. And listen, I thought the Blue Jays showed a lot of moxie out west there in L.A., where it was a tough series there. They let it get away from them, but they didn't get swept with that 5-4 win on Sunday. And I love this Toronto team at home. I love the bullpen at home. Their starting pitchers are better at home. What's not good right now is the Chicago Cubs offense, who once again just lost on Sunday night to the Cubs 3-2. This offense has disappeared. They're barely a 500 team since the All-Star break, and it has everything to do with the fact that they can't score runs. Now, if you're going to go against Toronto in the Rogers Center, I give the edge offensively to Toronto. They have shown over the last couple of months, this is a hitting machine. They're going up against Brown. It's not an impossible, pitcher to be able to score runs with at home. Even if Toronto does get some runs, I still like Toronto to be able to get it done because I like their bullpen. At minus 120, I'll take the home team here.
As the locals say in Toronto, let's go. See if they can pick up that victory. For me, I'm going to take an under today. I got 2 top 10 pitchers on my ticket. That's Paul Skeens and it's Freddie Peralta. You saw those lines already getting down to 6.5. I grabbed the 7 this morning, which is still available at a lot of outlets today. We're going under 7 runs between Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. It takes 8 to beat me. I don't think we get there. And for some happenstance, if Paul Skeens gives up 4 earned runs and somehow the Pittsburgh Pirates score 3 or 4 runs themselves, I'll live with it at this point. Skeens goes 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run today, and Pittsburgh does its usual 1 or 2 runs. We stay well under that total, Joe Ranieri, and we're looking for a sweep today on bye. Sort of make up for the people on Monday. We got tripped up a bit. It's how we do it here. Another day in the books here on the early line. Fantastic stuff all the way through. For Donnie Wright and Joe Ranieri, we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning for another edition of the Early Line.